Welcome everyone, it's me, UTE LEMPER. I'm sitting here in New York in my room and trying to get to the questions and answers. You guys were super interested and it was so sweet to get all these questions from you. So I'm sitting here, it's late in the night and I'm trying to get to these questions. So the first question was from Bogden, living in America but originally from Ukraine. And he was asking, could you describe some of the hardships you faced while climbing to where you are today? What things could people say you couldn't do that really get you down? And how did you pick yourself back up to get to where you are currently? Whew. If I think back, I think the hardest time in my life was really from 20 to 30, when I just got off acting school in Vienna, and it was my first 10 years of professional life, where I had lots of people telling me lots of things, who I should be, what I should do, managers, theater directors of shows, and you still try to find yourself somehow. So it was a kind of a solitary ride. And yes, of course, I was very sensitive to criticism and very open ear to it too. And first of all, you say yes to everything, and you don't choose what really you can do the best because you don't know yet. So these were the hardest years, and I would say that nothing really got me ever down somehow. I was quite strong inside because I believed and I loved my music and I loved to be on stage. I loved to be in a group, in a theater family or in a music family in the studio. And yes, I mean, bad reviews, I did doubt in myself, but it didn't really, no, everything was relative, and I had a great option very soon to have actually a very international career, which put everything into perspective, whether there was a little bit of a criticism in Germany or there, and however you would be categorized, and it didn't really matter. Really the passion for the job got me through everything, the passion to the music. Marcello in Spain is asking, have you always wanted to be a performer? I guess not always, not as a kid, not as a teenager necessarily. After I finished my high school, I saw several options. I wanted to be a teacher, I wanted to study French languages, be a translator. I was very interested in biology. I could have imagined going to university and sit, but somehow the sitting thing got me mad, and I wanted to get up and do something actively with the body. And yet I was still interested throughout the years of my college and, you know, studying singing and dancing and theater and all of that, very much in these scientific areas, and also into languages, of course. And yes, I did have the burning flame, and something was inside of me that needed to explode, and it could explode only in the territory of art and theater and music. And as I always said, music is my best friend, and I felt like for a long time very isolated somehow with my craziness and with this flame that burned inside of me. So I was happy to find this world, this profession, and I guess you know, by now it feels like, thank God I did this, because it is a job which allows me to be so free inside of myself. I can be a silly kid, I can be, you know, I'm still burning on this flame nowadays, and it's not been shut down by a daily routine, by a life which demands so much discipline and obligations, 10-hour working schedules, and it's quite wonderful to be able to do what I do. I'm very grateful for that. Okay, Lisa Nazir in England. I read once that shop mannequins in Germany for a time were modeled on you. Is this true, or a bit of urban legend? It actually is true that they modeled, it was a beautiful artist in London. I don't even remember his name, unfortunately. But he did, I said model, and he modeled my face. It was nothing digitally, it was really, he did this with vision and his craft and his vision as an artist. So it wasn't a perfect model. It still was, you know, really shaped right next to me, not with any digital help, three-dimensional help. Yes, and they so with the clay, it was burned in the oven, I guess, and then they actually made mannequins out of this, and they showed them in the shop, Saks. And even here in New York, it was a very funny story that one Christmas I went shopping with my daughter, and we went to Saks, and on the second floor, all the women dresses and the women clothes, every mannequin was actually having my face, and some of the girls had black hair, brown hair, blonde hair, blue eyes, brown eyes, green eyes, but yet everything had the shape of my face, with a fringe or with an open forehead, and it was very funny. We were like laughing and exploding. I wanted to buy one of these puppets, you know, give it to my husband, say, yeah, you take that, I have enough of you, you take the mannequin. And I actually did see it a couple of times in Germany too, in a couple of department stores. So Saks was the store. I don't know whether they still have it. I'll have to check back for next Christmas. Okay, next question. Music. Diego in Argentina. I would like to ask you, how do you select the songs when you're in the process of recording an album? How much time you take to select them? Oh, I never just go ahead and record an album. The album is always a result of something I have done on stage with my musicians for a while before this, a couple of months, a couple of years. The album reflects and documents probably 3, 4, 5 years of work which had been done before. So of course the Brel recordings were only done after I've sang these songs multiple times on stage. The Piaf, the Dietrich, it always really documents what I love to perform on stage. So for example, the album with my own songs, oh my God, these songs have been written 3, 4 years before I actually recorded them, and it was a wonderful situation to perform them live here in the jazz club in New York, and finally to go into the studio and arrange them together with my musicians and record them and to document them and to have them there on a CD for me forever. So it is really, all the 15, 16 albums are passages of my life, and not only in a recording studio, but definitely of each of them represents 3, 4 years of my life on stage, with very different variations of bands and orchestras. Lita in Florida. What musical instruments do you play and how do you compose your songs? Which do you write first, music or lyrics? I play the piano very badly. You don't want to hear me play, but I love to play chord successions and chords, jazz chords, and somehow I can, my kids can tell you a story that I was their piano teacher and they hated me. I was very strict, and I used to play like classical music as a kid, but I gave that up unfortunately a long time ago. So I wanted my kids to have the chance to be able to actually accompany themselves properly at the piano, but they totally hated me for doing this, so they don't play anymore. Yes, I compose on the piano. The texts are written first. Separately from that, I create musical collages, musical melodies and beautiful soundscapes on the piano, chords, verses, choruses, and then I try to put this all together, find the right text for this mood and the right music for that mood of that story, and then it's like a puzzle. The pieces come together and it works, and it's wonderful. It's like painting a canvas, a picture, a painting. It's something great if it works, and it's such a pleasure. And I love to accompany actually myself at the piano because I know what I want and my tempo and my time. I have a hard time, playing a different rhythm with the hands and singing a whole complicated my own melody on top of it. So I'm actually very sad that I can't accompany myself on stage. It's not good enough. So my wonderful pianist Vanna does it much better than me.